Welcome to the show Gold Squadron Gays. It's the podcast where two Star Wars loving gays talk about and review their favorite Star Wars content while also being gay as hell. I'm your host, Bradley Brower.
I'm your other host, Charles Rogers, and don't go, don't. It gets better. It gets better. The first 3 episodes are rough, but I promise it gets better later.
Not you having to warn people the first second we start talking.
No, because I know that there are going to be people who let this episode play, and they hear what we're going to talk about and are like, well, I never watched that. Or they go to try to watch it and they're like, what the fuck is this? What is happening here? No, I promise that the first couple episodes are a little rough. I get it.
Okay.
Trust me on this. The show will improve. I don't even think they're that bad. I just don't think they're very representative of what the show is.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Anyway, well, no new Star Wars news drop. So if you're just joining us on our journey through Star Wars, we have pretty much caught up on everything that's out currently. We're missing Visions Volume 3, and that's pretty much it. That's about the only thing that is released since we started the show that we haven't really covered. So we were kind of faced with the problem. We're sort of out of stuff, and we don't want to go immediately into Vision Season 3. We'll get there because the Ninth Jedi anime is coming, and we are going to cover that. But we're kind of faced with the problem of how do we fill the time? Right. And we can do some books, we can do some comics, but we don't want to totally turn into a books and podcast comic while we wait. And I feel like everybody does Clone Wars and Rebels. So we're not doing that. And we're not quite desperate enough for me to convince Bradley to do episodes on the droids and Ewoks cartoons. So ultimately, we decided we're going to go through the sequel era. We're going to go through Resistance, and we're going to do the 3 sequel films because they're both things that Bradley and I have discussed wanting to do in isolation. And we have these long gaps of time before Maul Shadow Lord and the Ninth Jedi and Mando and Grogu and all that comes out. So we're going to fill this time with episodes of Resistance and or the sequel trilogy as needed. So you will see us. We'll start today. You'll see us do a couple and then maybe take a break to do something else and then come back to it. Maybe take a break and come back to it. We'll see. We don't know what we're going to cover. We're waiting on more details for Maul Shadow Lord. We're not sure when that's going to premiere. We're figuring probably late summer.
Yeah, we probably won't get any news until May anyway. So I feel like, once Mando and Grogu comes out, then we might start to get more information. Who knows? But I mean, at this point, we're kind of in the dark with everybody else. So
we had guessed based on the comic books probably in late summer.
Right.
So like August or September. But we've got time to fill. And I feel like nobody really talks about this show. 2 fucking seasons this thing ran and nobody talks about it.
That is kind of weird. I've never heard anyone talk about this show. I've never heard anyone that's watched this show.
It's me.
Never heard of it. So it didn't have very good. You didn't put me on very good ground starting this show because I was like, I don't think I've heard of anybody who ever.
I literally talk about this all the time.
I know, and that's really sad.
Yeah, so I've watched the show in its entirety, and the season 2, it's either the season 2 recap or the overall, I think it's the overall series recap over on J Guys and Jedi. You can actually listen to me on there talking about Resistance. So I've watched the entire show in its entirety. But Bradley, I think you've only seen part of the first season.
Yeah, I need to look at, actually, I can tell you. Because I forgot, duh.
So you have a TV tracker app.
I have a TV tracker app. I'm not going to put the name because we're not sponsored, but I will look. If
said TV tracker app wants to pay me a boatload of money,
exactly,
then I will happily mention them.
No, exactly. So I do use this app very frequently to track all my stuff. Okay, so it says I did finish season 1, and I watched the first episode of season 2, and that was it.
Okay.
So now, how much of season 1 did I pay attention to, though? We'll find out through this journey.
That's the question.
Because I honestly, even watching this first episode, I did not remember any of this. So, for all intents and purposes, I have not seen the show. You know what I mean? Like,
basically new to you.
Basically new to me. I think I have a vague understanding of the show because I did technically watch some things, but I just don't remember. It's been so long. I mean, this is pre-COVID.
Yeah, so I actually have the episode air date here. Today we're talking about Star Wars Resistance, Season 1, Episode 1, The Recruit, Part 1. So we're talking about the first half that's on Disney Plus. for reasons of I don't want this episode to be 2 hours long going through the entire fucking voice cast. This episode originally aired October 7th, 2018.
Yep.
So it aired post The Force Awakens, which was in 2015, and post The Last Jedi, which was in 2017. 2017. First episode came out between Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. And The Rise of Skywalker, we'll get to it when we get to the middle of season 2, but The Rise of Skywalker came out midway through season 2 of Resistance.
Got it.
Like, it was airing at the time. It was on Disney XD originally, and spoilers, this is part of why the show gets canceled, is it's a casualty of the streaming pivot to streaming. They never pivoted it. They just canceled it outright because it was on Disney XD, which was their network.
That makes a lot of sense. It also, I don't think COVID probably helped because production
it definitely
pipeline,
fucking did not.
you know.
Well, and also you can tell they're doing a little bit of an animation pivot as well.
They do change the animation, yeah.
Off of this towards they do the Clone Wars season 7 and they do the Bad Batch.
And they do Bad Batch. They go back to Clone
after
Wars
this.
animation.
So there is sort of a moment in sort of Star Wars animation because Rebels, everybody loves Rebels now, but I was there when that show came out.
Mm-hmm.
People did not like it, and they in particular. It was a lot of people who grew up on the Clone Wars, and so they were used to the Clone Wars, and Rebels was different. They didn't like that. The Clone Wars got canceled, quote unquote, so they could make Rebels, which was not true. But they were mad about that because they were never going to get their ending. And they were mad about the art style.
That's
for
the
Rebels.
one thing I
People
remember,
hated the art style for Rebels, which I admit, a little rough in the beginning. You got to let it grow on you. But this show also featured a lot of those same criticisms. It's not as dark as the Clone Wars. We'll get to that. It's more for kids. The art style is terrible, which no, it isn't. It's just different. Bradley's giving me a look like, you still don't like the art style of this, do you?
We're not at the one thing you liked and the one thing you did not yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. I forgot we fucking do that because we've not done an episode for a while, but a lot of people were very mad about that and critical about that at the time, that like, oh, well, it's not the Clone Wars art style. So I think when they pivoted back to do season 7 and then continued on to the Bad Batch, part of it was it sort of makes sense that the Bad Batch would be a continuation of the Clone Wars art style because the Bad Batch is literally a sequel to the Clone Wars. But also part of it is like, I think they went back to what was safe. And now people are starting to get sick of the Clone Wars art style because we've had 10 fucking seasons of show with the same art style. People are starting to be like, my God, can you people do something else? Hi, Resistance is the doing something else. It looks different. Anyway, I guess we should probably talk about the actual episode. Otherwise, we'll be here all day.
Yeah, let's get into it. This week, we're talking about Resistance, Season 1, Episode 1, The Recruit, Part 1. X-Wing pilot Kazuda Xiono is recruited for the Resistance, but finds himself in over his head when Poe Dameron assigns him to a remote fueling station to spy on the First Order. Charles, what is one thing you liked about this episode, and one thing you did not?
One thing I liked about this episode was the fact that it does a lot of setup, even in 20 minutes, for the show that you don't realize it's doing. A lot of the characters that it introduces you to are going to be prominent throughout the entire show. Like, Yeager's a major character in the show. Aunt Z's going to be in the show a lot. Bolza Gruel, who is going to be in the show just around in the background. The little alien that he plays darts with is going to be in the show a lot. So there's a lot of already setting up who our people on the Colossus are going to be and like how does the Colossus work. That's really impressive when you watch the whole show and then go back and realize how much they just dump you into in this first episode without you realizing it. One thing I didn't like, I really hate the way Niku is written in the pilot. I really hate the way he is written in the pilot because he's a much more nuanced character than the pilot makes him out to be. Like, he's supposed to be this literalist. Like, he takes everything someone says literally, and he believes in, like, the inherent goodness of people, and, like, why would someone lie to him? But the thing he isolates as a lie makes him look much stupider than he actually is. And I think it does a disservice to the character that we are going to encounter over the course of the show to present him as this kind of bumbling, stupid to the point of like, how did you survive up to this point, character?
Right. How are you an adult?
How are you an adult? How
Yeah,
are you
yeah, yeah.
fully a young adult? And like, you act like this.
Yeah. It was
Like,
giving elf, like a man
yeah,
baby. Like, yeah.
I, comparatively to where he's going to go, because he's going to be a much more interesting character as we go along,
Okay.
how he is, they're going to soften that aspect of it. He's still very naive. He's still very literal. He still immediately defaults to be the good in people. But our introduction to him, I didn't like. I found it grating, and I've watched this 4 times.
Okay.
This is my fourth time watching this episode, and even I found it grating the way he acts. So didn't like that. He will get better as time goes along, and or you will get used to him. What about you, Bradley? One thing you liked and one thing you didn't.
One thing I liked, I actually like the, we'll call it lack of human characters. I like how diverse this show is in showing aliens and even people in the background. And now, you granted, this is the whole beauty of Star Wars animation is that you can do this because you can have the model of the goat alien guy. You can have the model of the Nick 2 and the whatever, right? And the Greedo character and the whatever all in the background because it's just easy to model that one alien and then just change the palette and then have them as different characters in the background or whatever. I like that this show does that because I saw multiple species that some I didn't recognize, some I did recognize, and I like when Star Wars does that where we don't, because that's the problem with live action sometimes is like they fall back on, well, we'll just throw another human character in here because it's cheaper. And I hate that. That's one of my pet peeves actually of Star Wars live action is when we don't have alien characters. Like I don't care how small the budget is. Like I need more alien characters in Star Wars. It's just ridiculous that you live in a giant galaxy full of aliens and everybody's a fucking human. Like it doesn't make any sense. I hate that. So I did appreciate the show for showing us a very vast array of alien characters, and that is the one thing I'm going to praise it for as we progress through the show because it does seem like the Colossus has a nice mix of alien characters. And the one thing I did not like, I agree with you on Niku. I don't like him as a character so far. Is actually my least favorite character on the show by far as we go. But that's not the one thing I did not like. I kind of was giving that the benefit of the doubt for now. I was ignoring it. I was kind of going like, well, it's the first episode. Everybody's kind of given their baseline character beat in this first episode, you know? Every single character has like that, oh, well, that's how they are. That's their whole character, you know? Like Jaeger seems to be like, oh, he doesn't put up with crap, you know? And then like Aunt Z or whatever, she, you know, she's funny because she's like, I'm always betting on stuff. Like, you know, there's a very baseline for all these characters. However, the one thing I did not like, and I don't think I'm much of an outlier here. I did not care for the low poly animation style. I don't like the lack of lines. I don't like the pastel look. It does make it look younger. However, like you said, and this is why I wanted to put a little asterisk on this. I don't like the animation style now. Maybe it'll grow on me like Rebels did. I will say I hated the season 1 of Rebels is some of the most horrendous to look at. Like it is so hard to watch sometimes. I mean, and I love Rebels. It's probably the best thing that Star Wars has ever done. I hate the first season. It's so like, ugh, what a fucking kids cartoon. Like you're watching it like, god damn, this is annoying. I felt the same way watching this. Like there's something about this trend in animation in the late 2000s where everybody just did this shitty computer animation style
You mean
thing for
late
kids cartoons.
2010s?
2010s, yeah. That's what I mean. I hate it. Like it's this weird like Nickelodeon was a real problem child with this because they took all their movies that were really popular and then they made like these shitty cartoon versions like Penguins of Madagascar and like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and it was like all these garbage fucking animation. Like just terrible like plug and chug like you made the models and then you just had a script tell the model like what action to do or something. Like it was basic animation. It was like terrible. This it's reminiscent of that only because I think it's just so simplistic looking. I feel like yeah, it probably will get better. And not to say that all of it is bad. I think there's just moments because we are put on this like sky blue background like all the time. Like the Colossus is on this ocean planet. So like there's no background, if you will. It's just sky and sea. So it's very simplistic in the color scheme of the show, other than obviously indoor scenes and things like of that nature. You know, it's basically ship design and ocean and sky design. So I feel like it's so simplistic. However, I think it's just like we haven't seen enough of it yet. I thought the earlier stuff where we saw him in space and that's that like I thought that was actually pretty decent. And then it started to kind of turn for me when we went to the Colossus. Like I was kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I like this anymore. Because I felt like the action sequences are really good. Like it showed really well, but anyway, hopefully it'll get better. I personally don't like the art style. It just not does not mesh for me right now. I'm also sick of the Clone Wars style, so I do want them to do something different. However, I want them to do something different that's not this, if that makes sense. I think they did a good job of trying something new. I just don't think it was successful. I just
My
don't
lips are
like,
zipped
yeah.
on whether or not and how much we may be leaving this planet.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to say too much about where we're going because hopefully Bradley has forgotten everything about this show.
I sure have. Section 1. New Republic X-Wings led by Kaz Ziono are pursued by Major Von Reg and his Crimson TIE Interceptor. As Von Reg closes in, Kaz insists on delivering intel and stays behind, ordering the rest to retreat. Von Reg manages to disable the X-Wing and fires 2 warheads at him, but Poe Dameron arrives in his X-Wing and saves Kaz. They trick Von Reg into range, and Kaz lands a damaging shot on the red TIE fighter. Von Reg escapes into hyperspace, and Poe invites Kaz for repairs as the Resistance Corvette drops out of hyperspace above them.
Yes, that opening shot is a riff on The Force Awakens. Very
Okay.
obvious riff on The Force Awakens.
I was
I
gonna say, isn't there? Well, it also was giving. What is the opening of? Is it Last Jedi where they the alternate? Wasn't there an alternate opening at one point?
There was an alternate opening where it like comes like it's the stars and it comes down, but it's actually like onto Finn
Right.
being
It's like
asleep and he
his
wakes
sleeping
up.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he wakes up and looks out the window, and then we get.
Mm,
It's not quite as strong of an opening as the
right.
actual opening, but
But it
I
was
did want to
giving that
point out.
vibe. Yeah.
I did want to point out this came out after The Force Awakens is a very obvious riff on The Force Awakens.
Got
In fact, this whole season will tie very heavily into The Force Awakens
it. Okay.
because it was the sequel film that they knew about when they made this show.
Got it.
The first season of it, it will come up regularly that the first season of this show was conceptualized around The Force Awakens. They really knew what was in The Force Awakens. It could build up to it. They kind of knew what was in The Last Jedi
Mm,
for season 2. They had no idea what Rise of Skywalker was going to be
right.
because it changed so much on a dime. It switched from Duel of the Fates to The Rise of Skywalker. They had no idea what it was going to be. And there are parts of season 2 where it kind of shows that they might have done something a little differently if they had known what Rise of Skywalker was going to be. And I think if the show hadn't been canceled, I think that it would have in season 3 been able to tie more into the Rise of Skywalker. But we'll get to that when we talk, I think, towards the end of season 2 and also the finale of the Rise of Skywalker. We meet our protagonist immediately, who's playing Kazuda Ziono.
He is played by actor Christopher Sean. He is a American actor known for his roles as Paul Narita on Days of Our Lives and Gabriel Waincroft on Hawaii Five-O. He also voiced Dick Grayson slash Nightwing in the Gotham Knights video game and Kenji Sato slash Ultraman in the Netflix cartoon Ultraman Rising. And then I also put, unrelated to his acting career, but also related to his acting career, in 2007, he won the Mr. USA Asia pageant.
Because he's very hot.
So I have a list
Please
of
Google
pictures.
Christopher Sean.
I have
Please
pictures I
Google
want you
what
to
this
see.
man looks like. There are also photos of him wearing the Kazuda Ziono jacket. He loves this character and loved being in Star Wars. Like,
I'm
he
going, yeah.
loves this role so much.
So I want to show you pictures because this
Okay.
is okay. So this is going to be for patrons only who are going to see this, but this is definitely a reason to subscribe. So here we go.
Oh,
This is the
hello.
cover of
Exactly.
Playgirl magazine.
Yes.
So this is him on the cover of Playgirl magazine. Here's a second cover.
Very important presentation.
I guess he's wet. I don't know what the picture is supposed to be of. He's just behind a wet glass. So
Okay.
that's gorgeous in itself.
I love
Um,
this. Please
mhm.
continue.
Here's the picture of him winning Mr. Asia. That's also important with his award and his crown.
Yes.
Loves. Here's a picture of him in his his swimsuit option for the pageant.
This was very important.
Very important to
Yes,
see.
this
Uh-huh.
was
It's
very important to have this whole slideshow.
very
Mm-hmm.
important.
Mm-hmm.
As you can tell. I love the color choice too of the swimsuit because it almost looks like he's not wearing a swimsuit. So I kind of like it's kind
He
of
knew what he
blending
was
in.
doing.
He knew what he
He
was
knows
doing.
what he looks like.
I'm not mad at him for it. Now, there's a couple different pictures of him. I'm going to try to open them all at the same time from his soap days. So he was in this soap opera or whatever, where he actually played a like athlete character who
That
came
makes
out.
sense. Oh,
So he was playing a gay character. Here he is kissing a man.
oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. Just, just for reference, there he is kissing another human male. And here he is shirtless with said human male again.
Very
Um,
good.
this is this
Yes.
is all really like important things that you need to know.
Yeah, no, this was definitely
And then I don't know what this is from.
something I
This
needed to
is just
know.
another picture just to wrap it all out. Here he is.
That is a very good picture.
It's just a very important picture of him self-reflecting in his at his body and his face and his
I'm also reflecting at his body and
I'm
his
reflecting
face.
and everything. Anyway, so that was your daily dose of Christopher
So,
Sean.
so if you are not subscribed to our Patreon,
hmm
you should do that. If you were subscribed to our Patreon at patreon.com/Gold Squadron Gaze, for $3 a month, you get additional bonuses. And one of those bonuses is all the stuff that Bradley cut out. And also one of the bonuses you get is you get video versions of these episodes. So Bradley just took us on a lovely slideshow of all of the hottest shirtless photos of Christopher Sean that he could find because this man is very hot. This man is very, very, very hot. And what else he is very, very, very talented.
hmm
As previously mentioned, he is Dick Grayson slash Nightwing in Gotham Knights, a game I have not played but did get on sale and have downloaded. I will play Gotham Knights while we are covering Resistance and get back to you on how his Dick Grayson is. I know him originally as a character on a web series called The Lizzie Bennett Diaries. He
Okay.
plays a character named Bing Lee. I forget the name of the character in Pride and Prejudice. Mr. Bingley, I think, is the name of the character, something like that. But I know him from the Lizzie Bennett Diary because that was coming out when I was in college.
Okay.
Speaking of him being in Days of Our Lives, everybody talks about his appearances on Days of Our Lives as Paul Narita like it's a thing in the past. The last episode of Days of Our Lives in which Christopher Sean appeared was November 13th, 2025. He has been in 347 episodes of Days of Our Lives.
So he came
He's been on
back.
the show
Yeah.
for 11 years. He keeps coming back.
Yeah. Well, I guess
And
no one ever leaves the show, right? You always
oh,
keep coming back eventually.
they leave, but if you're good and you can get employed on a soap opera, on one of
Right.
these soap operas that's long running, that'll basically pay your rent. That'll be
Because
your day job
Days of Our
because
Lives has been on since forever.
forever. The fact that he's been on damn near 350 episodes of this is really impressive.
Not
He
only
does
that,
not.
he's literally playing one of only like three gay characters that have ever been on the show ever. So that's also a pretty big deal because he's like, I guess the two guys that are like the main two gay guys on the show, he plays like they're like triangle, like love interest or whatever. So like he's
It's
like
a
the,
soap opera, so
you
there's a
know,
lot of people
but he's also like apparently I read
getting
he was
together
also
and
the
breaking up.
illegitimate child of one of the mainstay actors, I
Of
guess. So
course he
like
fucking is.
so I
Oh
know
Lord.
nothing about Days of Our Lives. However, I just find it
I
really
can't
funny
get
that
I
he's
can't get into
that
that.
involved.
We have actually talked about Christopher Sean before,
Yes.
continuing on with the episode that is about Christopher Sean, apparently. We've talked about him before because he's the voice of Asu in the Village Bride episode of Star Wars Visions Volume 1. He does not have a Disney trifecta, but he has been in a lot of video games. He's been in Fallout 76, Ghost of Tsushima, and notably for us, he's been in Marvel's Avengers, the video game.
Nice.
So if he gets a Disney thing,
It'll count.
then if he gets a Disney thing, he will have a Disney trifecta.
Love that.
But I think we actually have to go back to talking about the show. So I will
I
report
was gonna
back on
say,
Christopher Sean as Nightwing. A plus casting. Incidentally, I hear it now in
hmm,
Kazuda. Like, I hear where this guy could play Dick Grayson as Nightwing. Speaking of people we will not be talking about, those two Resistance pilots are named Mia Gabon and Hugh Sion. We will talk about them later. We
okay.
will also talk about Major Von Reg later because he doesn't have any lines in this episode.
And then I guess it's worth mentioning we do have two guest voices on. We'll talk about them here because this is kind of where they show up. Oscar Isaac is reprising his role as Poe Dameron.
Oscar Isaac is in multiple episodes of this show in the first season.
Okay, well he's
He's a
credited
recurring
as a
character.
guest voice on this episode, as well
Well,
as
good for
Anthony
him. He's in
Daniels
multiple
as
episodes.
C-3PO.
Yes, and we will talk about both Oscar Isaac and Anthony Dan. Well,
No, we don't need to.
We might save Anthony Daniels for when we eventually really need something for a special occasion and do the original trilogy.
Yeah, I was gonna
We will
say
talk
we
about
don't need to
we
do
will
that.
talk about Oscar Isaac when we talk about The Force Awakens.
There you go. Yeah, I was like, we don't need to talk about him too much. Everybody knows
We will
right
talk
now.
about we will not need to talk about him too much as we go through Resistance because yes, he is reprising his role from The Force Awakens. He was in that first. We will talk about him when we get there.
Yeah.
But yes, that is in fact Oscar Isaac playing Poe Dameron. He will be in multiple episodes. The whole premise of this first scene is that the New Republic is sending intelligence to the Resistance.
Right.
I want to keep a pin in that.
Okay.
The fact that they're having to smuggle intelligence to the Resistance.
Right,
The
because
Resistance
I
is
guess I'm confused because here's my thing. So he's in the Navy? Is that what
he is in
they
the New
said it was?
Republic
New Republic
Navy.
Navy, right? Okay. So they are official people. Like
He
they're
is an
not
official
like
New Republic pilot.
right.
Commander Dameron is I think they say he's a commander in this episode.
Poe's a
He
part
is
of the
an,
resistance, but
he's also a New Republic officer.
oh, he is.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, but he works for, I believe he still works for the New Republic. I don't think he's defected. I need to
Yeah,
double
he
check my
looks
work
like
on that.
he's like it seems like he's just a part of the resistance at this point.
I can't find a point where it talks about him leaving.
I mean, does he ever officially leave or is it just kind of
That
like,
is my question.
you
It's
know?
been many years since I've read the Poe Dameron comic.
Got it.
Anyway, we can tangent and talk about this now, and then I will talk about this first scene. So they refer to Poe kind of as a New Republic-ish officer.
Okay.
I do not, in fact, think that he ever left the New Republic Navy, but they talk about him like that. This will somewhat contradict the Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
Now, what was going on is Poe Dameron was a pretty popular character after The Force Awakens, and so he got a lot of supplemental material. And his backstory had been pretty fully explored in the Poe Dameron comics by Charles Soule. We remember Charles Soule as having written those kick-ass Vader comics that we covered. When Rise of Skywalker came out, there also had to be some supplemental material to reconcile the gap between his backstory as revealed in the Rise of Skywalker versus what was in the Poe Dameron comic. The novel Freefall, which we will not read for the show, does try to bridge that gap and explain how he was in the New Republic Navy and also running Spice kind of around the same time.
Okay.
So there is a novel that ties all that together. It was nobody cared about the comics right up until The Rise of Skywalker came out, and then suddenly everybody cared about the comics. The comics are really good.
Right.
I will stress this. The Poe Dameron comics by Charles Soule are really fucking good. I highly recommend people read them. We will not be covering them.
Yeah.
But just understand that by this point, those comics had been coming out, and his backstory established him as being a New Republic fighter pilot and officer before he joined the Resistance.
Right. I like how we're gonna keep dancing around that subject of it comes up in the next scene, but there's a we'll talk about it when we get there. I want to talk about what the resistance actually is and why
we're going to talk
you know,
about it. We're actually going to talk about it now because I'm still hung up on this. The New Republic is ferrying stuff to the Resistance.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about it now because this scene doesn't make a lot of sense to me because if we're gonna call them cops,
I can help explain it
because I don't know what I mean. I know they're the Navy, but I don't like calling them like army people or like like Navy officers. It's kind of weird to be like
they're military. They're New Republic military.
So why is the official government of the galaxy? There's three of them who are minding their own business, taking intelligence, I guess, from somewhere to a group, we'll call them the Resistance, and then this random person, because we don't know anything. I mean, technically, in this, we don't know what the First Order is technically. So in this
They know
section,
that it exists because they
okay.
will mention it later.
Okay, they do. Okay.
Yes.
Well, at this point, there's a random person in a hostile ship, we'll call it, who is attacking them for the reason that they are transporting said intelligence, which is a crime. So, like, why is the military group not attacking him back, I guess, and they're just like, "Oh no, we have to run away because we're so defenseless against this guy." I don't under that one I didn't quite understand. I
Well,
guess maybe
because the
because
guy's really good.
okay,
The guy's
whatever.
really
Like,
good and he's gonna fucking kill all three of them. And they're also the pilots that we see are all very young.
okay.
So what this is a okay. The
This is I'm
political
getting
situation,
confused. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
political situation is a little complicated at this
Right.
point. And this is why I really want us to read Bloodlines before we read The Force Awakens. Because it's
Okay.
gonna help contextualize this a lot, especially how it relates to The Force Awakens.
Got it.
So we have the New Republic, which is currently based on Hosnian Prime, not Coruscant.
Right.
It looks like Coruscant, but it is not Coruscant. We'll get to that when we get to The Force Awakens. The First Order, they know the First Order exists, but the First Order is out in wild space.
Okay.
It's outside of the New Republic jurisdiction.
Right.
And as long as it doesn't come into New Republic jurisdiction, then they can go off. The New Republic is of the opinion they can go off and do whatever they want. Also, when we say New Republic military, we're not talking about the rebel fleet because the New Republic has disarmed at this point.
Okay.
They don't have they don't have the ships to mount an offensive at this
Okay.
point. They couldn't, they have a fleet for defensive purposes. They are back to what the Republic had prior to the Clone War.
Okay.
Remember, the whole thing in Attack of the Clones was that they needed authorization to create a bigger military. The
Right,
Republic
because they didn't
has
have anything. Yeah.
fleets for defense, but it doesn't have anything to go into wild space and go find the First Order. And up until this point, the First Order has mainly been minding its own fucking business.
Got it.
Officially, on paper. The New Republic, senators in the New Republic are supporting Leia Organa, who at this point has just fucked off. She's not a senator anymore.
Right.
She's just fucked off to go do her resistance because she's, spoilers for Bloodlines, I guess. She's basically like, yeah, you people aren't going to do anything, so I'm going to build the Rebel Alliance again and actually try to do something about this problem.
Interesting.
And so
okay.
the New Republic is supporting this under the table. Officially, they've disavowed. They're like, we have nothing to do with this resistance.
Right, because you can't.
Yeah, you can't officially support it.
Right.
Under the table, there's a lot of supplies and support that's going to the resistance. So in order to prevent the First Order from having justification to attack, then they have said basically, well, we have nothing to do with those guys. We don't know anything about that.
Right.
They
so
totally are funding.
So Leia has created this kind of unofficial militia, if you will.
It is basically a militia that she has created.
Got it.
To oppose the First Order.
Right. Because she knows of the growing threat of them.
She recognizes that letting the fascists do whatever they want is a bad idea, and appeasement is a shit policy. So she's come in and is like, no, I want nothing to do with the government.
That makes more sense.
I'm going to go over here and do whatever the fuck I want to oppose them. This was clearly supposed to be a milk run, which is an X-Wing term for very easy job.
Got it.
Go to the coordinates. We're going to send a couple of pilots that have not attracted attention. We're going to send a couple of pilots out here. They're not supposed to do it, so they don't want to make a big deal about it. And the First Order also is not supposed to be attacking New Republic ships, so they send one guy who they can disavow if they need to. If the New Republic is like, why did you attack our ships? They'll be like, well, that was one guy going rogue. I don't know what's going
Okay.
on. It's starting to make sense.
Yeah.
We will ideally, I want us to read Bloodlines because it will really go into the state of the galaxy at this point.
Got
But
it.
that's kind of what's going on here. And it's important to keep in mind throughout the first season and through The Force Awakens, it's going to be a really fucking big deal what the relationship between the New Republic and the Resistance and the First Order actually, because they
Right.
don't do a good job explaining it in any of the visual media.
Right. Because I think that's why I was confused. Also, this is technically still a kid's cartoon, so it's worth noting that like none of this is explained. Like, so it's to know the whole entire political situation of the galaxy right now and
Yeah,
not understand it is wild to me. Like,
this is a failing of the visual sequel era visual media
yeah.
is that they don't need a fucking trade dispute conversation.
No,
Uh
but
but
even
it's
your
really
explanation was a little
interesting.
bit like, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. There were some scenes in The Force Awakens, like early Leia scenes,
Uh-huh.
that would have gone into more depth about the relationship between
Mm,
the New Republic and the Resistance in particular, and added some context to Hux's
I see.
speech. Those scenes were cut and later repurposed for The Rise of Skywalker,
Got it. Okay.
with different context to Leia's line.
Mm,
So there's a character, we'll talk about this when we get to The Force Awakens. There's a character who's weirdly prominent in a shot and shows up in some of the tie in material who was supposed to be the character that Leia's interacting with
got it.
throughout these scenes. She was cut from the film, only appears in one shot of the finished film. But she was also supposed to be our character that sort of told us more about the galaxy. I think the film is stronger for the lack of those scenes. I do, however, wish that they had gone into some of these politics because they're pretty interesting.
Now that you've explained it, I'm like, oh, that is interesting. Like, you know what I mean? It makes more sense. Like, I understand why they're here now. I understand what this guy is doing, like to attack them and stuff. So it is interesting. I'm curious if it'll get more obvious or they'll explain it
A
more or not.
little
We'll
bit
see.
when it'll come up a couple of times, and particularly when we'll talk about it a lot when we get to Force Awakens. One of the best trilogies for setting up bookwise for setting up why this is the way this is, and kind of the main one at the time, was the Aftermath books by Chuck Wendig.
Mm,
The original book Aftermath, and then it got spun out into a trilogy, so they got two more books out of it. The crest, according to the trivia guide on StarWars.com, the crest on the New Republic pilots is described first in the Aftermath books. It is from that it got brought over. Aftermath, we're not going to cover it on the show yet. I don't think we may one day, because it is a very formative series to this era. A
okay.
lot of even current media draws from Aftermath because Aftermath, the first book kind of sets up the state of the galaxy, and then the later two books are about leading up to and what was happening around the Battle of Jakku. And that gets referenced a lot. Stuff from those books gets referenced a lot. Up to this date, the whole planet on Star Wars Outlaws, Akiva, is from those books.
Mm,
Cobb Vanth from The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett is from Aftermath. The entire Battle of Jakku was originally laid out in Aftermath, and they just did a comics run retelling the story of the Battle of Jakku, which I have not read. I have not caught up on the comics, but that's all. They're still drawing from these books. Like these were major books in terms of setting up like the broader universe of this era. So they do get referenced here. The crest is from the Aftermath. The droid is named C4. That's hilarious.
Why? Because C4? Like, why is that funny?
C4 as in the explosive C4.
Yeah, but he doesn't explode, so it's not funny.
No, he doesn't, but the name is funny to
So,
me.
but what is funny, I mean, I'll talk about it now. He disappears in this episode. He's on the Corvette and then he what, takes Kaz's ship back to the New Republic or something, and that's it? Like,
I think he takes his ship back to the New Republic.
okay, and we never see him again.
That is a good question. Will we see C4 again?
Because he seems like, I mean, to
It's
be
very
fair,
easy to find out.
right. Well, to be fair, if he is just a New Republic Navy ship droid, he's not Kaz's droid. I think I was misled into believing that he was his droid. I think he's just assigned to his ship, if that makes sense. Like, because I obviously every ship has a
Yes.
droid or
Hold on
whatever,
a second.
unless you're Poe Dameron, and then you get to have your personal vacuum cleaner as your droid. But you, I don't know
Yes.
if, yeah,
Okay, yeah. R2C4.
Right.
is the name of the droid. We will never see the droid again.
Okay, I figured. I was like, it was weird to me that they made him such a character, like for a second, like to be like in this second scene that we're about to do, like, oh, he's here and he's like following Kaz and he's like doing stuff. And I'm like, are we ever going to see him again? What's the point of having this
Nope.
character
We are
here?
never going to see him again.
Okay, whatever.
Also, I just want to say before we get into the next section, not the Tantive 4.
Right. Same
Not the Tantive
type of
4.
ship, but
It's a Corvette.
right.
It's a CR-90 Corvette if you're ship nerd, which I am not.
But
It is
not
a
the same.
CR-90 Corvette, not the Tantive 4. We will see the Tantive 4 again.
Got it.
In this era. It was not destroyed after A New Hope, but this is not it.
Section 2. Kaz, thrilled to meet Poe aboard the Corvette, hesitates to join the Resistance due to his senator father's strict plans. He hands over an intelligence data card and asks Poe to pass his admiration to General Leia Organa. Kaz sneaks through the corridors, trying to overhear a meeting to where Poe warns of a massive First Order attack. He convinces Poe to let him help, and Kaz secretly contacts his disapproving father, cuts off the call, and commits fully to the mission. Poe explains that the assignment is to Castellon, an ocean world linked to a secret First Order supply operation. Kaz must pose as a pilot, earn trust, and uncover who is on the Colossus fuel depot is secretly working with the First Order. Not only did they have C-3PO be like, hey, Leia's calling you or whatever the fuck, they also show Leia in the hologram, but she doesn't speak at all.
She has a voice actress. We will talk about her when Leia speaks. She will show up again in this show.
But do you find it odd that she just didn't say a single thing when she was on the screen during the second she was on the screen?
I didn't find it odd at all. And here's why. Because that was a secret fucking briefing that Kaz just stumbled into. Right. And Leia Organa, after doing this for 40 fucking years, knows to keep her damn mouth shut.
Immediately stop
when
talking.
Someone's in the meeting that shouldn't be. She's smart enough to be like, there's someone here that shouldn't be, lip sealed. You do not survive as long as she does without knowing when to not speak.
Gotcha.
And so she's like, I'm not acknowledging this. I'm keeping my mouth shut. I'm not going to say anything that might possibly incriminate me. Because she's smart. She's the smartest person in this plot.
Right.
We do find out that the First Order, we get the mystery arc of the first season set up right here.
Okay.
The First Order is planning some sort of attack. We need to find out what supplies they're moving and where they're moving them to.
Understood. Okay.
We don't know what it is that they're planning, but something's happening out in wild space. We need to know what that is. So keep an eye on that. We also get set up right from the beginning. Kazuda loves his home, which we will find out later is Hosnian Prime. He loves the New Republic. He's like, I don't want anything to do with this resistance stuff because Poe tries to recruit him. Immediately. And Kaz is like, no, thank you. I am not interested.
I have health benefits. I don't need to join your cause. Like, I'm good.
When he learns there's an attack planned, that's the point where he turns around and is like, no, I need to do something about this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you recognize Kaz's last name?
Yes. Well, mostly because we've already covered
about
who his father was in Ahsoka. So
his father is not named, but that is Hamato Ziono, the dick senator from Ahsoka. So Bradley is already well familiar with what a giant piece of shit Hamato Ziono is.
Which is good, though, because it makes me understand the subplot of disapproving father more. Because obviously he tries to call his dad and be like, hey, so here's the situation. And his dad's like being an asshole, obviously. And he's like, I put you through college. I put you through the Navy. Like, what the fuck else do you want? And he's like, I don't want anything.
Yeah, this is the thing about Kaz throughout the show is he very much wants to prove that he can do stuff by himself because he's a child of privilege.
Got it.
His dad's rich. His dad's a senator.
Right.
Ed has been a senator forever, was on the fucking advisory council. So like he's a Nepo baby.
That's exactly what he is.
His dad helped him get into the academy. His dad helped him get his posting. Like his dad has this whole plan for like how his life is going to be. And Kaz is like, well, I just kind of want to make my own choices.
Right.
So keep an eye on that. Okay. Castellon is the name of the planet. This is its first appearance. It will really only ever be mentioned outside of a couple of comics. It will really only ever be mentioned in Resistance.
Hmm.
Like it shows up in a couple novels, it shows up in a couple of comics. It doesn't show up, but it's mentioned. But it really is central to Resistance.
Right.
And it is entirely water.
It seemed like
It
it
is
was.
not entirely water. It is
Oh.
dotted with a few isolated islands,
Oh, okay.
but it's mostly water. It's a water planet because this is Star Wars. We're only allowed to have one biome.
Sure. Naturally.
Naturally.
Well, and it seems that like the whole purpose for the planet is just to have the fuel depot. Like it doesn't seem like there's any other
That's what it's
resources here.
primarily
Yeah.
known for.
Right.
Is we will meet the native inhabitants of the planet. They don't really care
Okay.
about. They would be perfectly fine if this depot wasn't here.
Mm. Okay.
But mostly anybody comes to Castellon for the depot.
Got it.
And because it's mostly ocean, it makes it great for air racing. Because hey, terrain impacts like the air above it.
I see. Hmm.
And so it's gonna be easier to race on a planet that's pretty much just flat ocean. It also means if you crash, you can eject, and there's a less likelihood you'll fucking die.
I guess so.
So this isn't quite Jakku middles of nowhere, but this is a random gas station in the
Right.
middle of like the highway.
Okay.
Not even like the main highway, but like a
Understood.
state
Yeah, yeah.
highway.
Okay.
There's a random fucking gas station where the people do drag racing occasionally. That's what
Okay.
this planet is.
That makes sense. Section 3. Upon arrival at the Colossus, Kaz meets Niku. He spreads exaggerated rumors about Kaz's piloting skills, attracting unwanted attention. At the tavern, he meets the owner, Aunt Z, and Poe talks with Jaeger, Niku's boss. While waiting, Kaz joins a hollow darts game that escalates when a sabotage dart hits a patron, leading to threats and demands for compensation. The situation explodes into a brawl. Meanwhile, Poe argues with Jaeger about the resistance and convinces him to let Kaz stay, but they return to find the fight. Jaeger shuts it down, and Kaz realizes Niku's praise has started the mess, unintentionally hurting Niku's feelings. Kaz apologizes to Niku and downplays his skills, but Niku challenges him to race the Ace Squadron. Kaz tries to withdraw, but Jaeger explains that races are and betting are the lifeblood at the Colossus, making backing out impossible. Poe assures Kaz that drawing attention might help him blend in, even if it means making a spectacle of himself. He departs, leaving Kaz to gather intelligence, encouraging him to prove himself and asks BB-8 to watch over him.
And a guy gets murdered 5 fucking seconds after we got to the station.
Well, like you said, it's ocean. So theoretically, that guy is alive. I don't know
It's a
what the.
kid show. I have to believe that he was able to contort his body such so that he could
We don't
like
know
break
the
the surface
distance.
tension.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what the the distance is between the Colossus and the water. It looks like a few hundred feet, but I could be wrong.
There's a lot of factors into whether or not this guy gets fucking murdered. Seven
Yeah.
seconds into Kazuda arriving on the Colossus. I don't think we ever see him again.
I honestly wasn't even paying attention to what he looked like, so who knows if we see him again.
Who knows?
But it's worth mentioning he gets thrown off the Colossus by the character later on that gets hit with the dart. I don't know if that is like Aunt Z's enforcer or whatever. You said
It's
he
Aunt Z's bouncer.
bouncer. Okay.
Bouncer slash enforcer, who is also voicing the pilot getting thrown over the side.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Just as
There's
an
a lot of
FYI.
voices in this that we can't get into, but I mean, there's just a ton
Yeah.
of people doing extra voices and stuff. So
This guy is voiced by Fred Tedeschiori. He is got 1,056 previous acting credits on IMDb.
exactly.
Very, very, very prolific voice actor. I love how Kaz says, "I've got this," saw a racing ship, and immediately did not have this.
No.
Immediately got distracted.
Yeah. Well, he's like, he gets there and he's like, okay, just basically like blend in. Like, don't make a spectacle of yourself kind of thing. And then he immediately goes,
You're a
wow,
wannabe
big
pilot.
racers.
Well, in Kaz's defense, the instruction he was given was, "You're a wannabe pilot,"
That's true.
posing as a mechanic. The statements that he makes are consistent with that cover story. A wannabe hotshot pilot would go around saying, "I'm the best
I'm the
starfighter
best in the
pilot in the
galaxy.
galaxy."
Right.
We also do get some of his like conflict with his father here in his
Mhm.
expectation, because like he wants it to be a racer.
Right.
And his dad was clearly like, fucking no. If you want to fly ships, join the military.
Right. Which I'm gonna defend his dad slightly here. Not actually a bad thing because saying like, "Oh, I just want to be a pilot" is maybe not the most constructive like thing that Kaz could be doing in a privileged society where like he
Right.
is expected to have an actual job and like do something with his
A
life.
job with rank and a job with
Right.
societal clout.
General pilot is not necessarily a prestigious career path in this universe because pilot is so vague too. Like pilot could mean anything. Like he could be a barge pilot, he could be a trash man pilot. Like it doesn't there's no like specific like whatever. But telling him like, "Oh, just join the military, you'll still get to fly." I mean, he literally is flying a fucking X-wing in the first fucking scene. So he is
He's the
flying.
squad leader.
Right. I mean, I think that's actually a pretty decent end up like what you're doing kind of situation. I mean, not to defend his dad, but I just think that he did a decent job getting him a normal kind of job that slightly aligns with his hopes and dreams. Like
It's
it's
one of
kind of a
those I had to
compromise.
settle kind of
Right.
things. Like, okay, you want to be a pilot. I can't stop you from being a pilot. You want to be a racer, but we're not fucking doing that.
Well, that's crazy.
The only people who do racing are like backwater inhabitants and scoundrels and
Right.
smugglers. And Han Solo is really big on the
Mm,
racing circuit at this point, or is involved with it. He's not a racer, but he's
right,
very
right.
involved with racing at this point. So here, get this pilot job. At least you'll do something respectable. I also do want to point out in the earlier sequences, the way that the slapstick humor of the show kind of works makes it seem like Kaz is a bigger idiot than he actually is. He's not that bad. His main flaw at this point is he's very like, he talks a lot. And he says words that are not particularly smart because he isn't thinking about them,
Okay.
but he's not like completely stupid. Like in the back half of this sequence, he doesn't start the bar fight on purpose.
It is accidental. Yeah. So,
It is accidental. He's trying to get Niku out of the way before Niku does any more damage. They get the darts, and then the guy comes up and challenges him. And Kaz is a fucking braggart. Like he's so fucking full of himself. He
right.
has to go along with this challenge. And then he had no way of knowing that thing was going to go into the guy's back, into Bowles' back. So
Right. Because, well, in his defense, again, I don't know why I'm defending men. So, in his defense, though, he is actually skilled at the darts. Like, he does at first, it's like almost instant all bullseyes, and he has like one or two that are not like right in the middle. So, he is actually pretty skilled at this game so far. Now, the other guy, the little alien, does cheat by crunching, the dart to make the wings bent so that they don't fly straight. So he has no reason to not believe theoretically he would have won the bet because he knows how good he is at darts. So it is actually like not his fault. Again, I don't know how many times I'm going to be defending him slash defending men on this show. However, in his defense, there was cheating involved and he is actually skilled. So, yes, is he a bragger or like, he probably should think a little bit more before he just takes on random bets. Yeah, but like he is technically skilled in the game he was playing.
the interesting thing about Kaz is that, and this is something Poe clocks basically immediately, Kaz has a lot of the skills necessary to be a good spy and absolutely none of the personality
Mm,
to do it, which is what makes him so good at it.
okay.
Is this guy has all the technical skills he would need. He's a pilot, he's ex-military, he's very competent at very precise skills. Not a good fighter, but we see he's great at darts. We see he's clever. We see he's quick to come up with a new plan in the opening scene.
Hmm.
Like, but he's also a motor mouth dumbass.
Right.
And no one expects a motor mouth dumbass to be a spy because the whole point of a spy is to not attract attention. And Kaz attracts nothing but attention.
Which is why I kind of like, I'm not to skip ahead too much, but like I kind of like Poe's plan here because he's like the whole like blending in thing. He's like, well, the best way to blend in is to not blend in. Because if you're trying to get in with all these pilots and ruffians around here, the best thing you can do is brag and be like, I'm a good pilot, or I want to be the next, racer or winner or whatever. Like that's like we see that is the nature of the Colossus. People are love sports betting and they love this racing culture. So it's the best way for him to blend in, obviously, is to be that, like just be one of those guys. And it is kind of funny that it's just the you're just being ridiculous all the time, and that's how you're gonna blend in.
Mhm. And it gets worse because Niku makes it worse. Tell us about who's voicing Niku while Niku makes
Yes.
everything worse in this episode
Uh,
constantly.
Constantly. Niku is voiced by Josh Brenner. Josh is known for portraying Nelson on HBO's Silicon Valley. In animation, he voices Donatello in Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as well as voices in DuckTales and 101 Dalmatian Street. So, no Marvel thing as yet, but he does have two Disney things, so he's getting there. He has also done Star Wars voices before. He was briefly in the Clone Wars as credited as Worker. And then he did the voice of Erskine Samaj in Star Wars Rebels, who we have talked about before.
Yes. Niku will be one of the major three characters on the show.
Okay, I figured. That's why I was like,
there are
this
three
is the time.
major characters, three quote unquote main characters. It's Kaz and Kaz's two friends, one of whom is not in this episode. One of those friends will be upgraded to co-protagonist
Oh, okay,
in season 2.
got it.
She is not in this episode, so we're left with Kaz and Niku. I do think this is also why Niku is like this in this episode. The third member of the party is not around to stop him.
I see.
Uh,
I thought about it. I was like, why? I don't know if I liked the timeline of him telling everybody about Kaz, because it was like as they were just walking to the tavern.
He tells word travels really fast on this station.
Yeah, clearly.
And this station is a gas station in the middle of fucking nowhere. But it sets up very early on how difficult Kaz's job is going to be. Because Kaz making a stupid comment on the landing bay of the station made it to the cantina before he did. It's going to be very hard to spy on this station. If you do something shady and you get caught, everybody's going to know about it.
Right.
Immediately.
Yeah, it's shocking how fast the news travels, I guess, but also like what else do we have to talk about? You know what I mean? Like I feel like everybody's like, "Oh, there's a new pilot," kind of thing. Like that's all they care about anyway, so that's all they're going to talk about. So it does kind of make some sense.
Anyway, we are introduced to Aunt Z, the proprietor of Aunt Z's. Do you have any information on the actress playing Aunt Z?
Yes, so she is played by Tova Feldsha. I think that's how you say her last name. She is a Broadway star. She has 4 Tony Award nominations and 2 Emmy nominations for her work in TV. She was in Law and Order. She was in As the World Turns, another soap. And she does the role of Deanna Monroe in The Walking Dead. I think that's what most people would probably know her for.
I know her best as Naomi Bunch from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Gotcha. Don't know what that is.
If you have never watched Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, please watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I don't know how they did 4 seasons of this, but I'm really glad they did.
Got it.
This show's fucking hilarious. She's hilarious. Watch that show, please. It's so fucking funny. We also meet Derek Yeager, or Jarek Yeager. Who's voicing Jarek Yeager?
He is voiced by Scott Lawrence. He is best known for his role as Commander Sturgis Turner on the CBS series Jag. He has appeared in Star Trek Into Darkness. And
I was just looking to see if he'd been in a Star Trek, because he's a TV that guy, and they've normally been in Star Trek.
Well, he was in Star Trek Into Darkness in movies, but he was in an episode of Star Trek Voyager. So he's
really.
So he has 2 Star Treks.
I'm not to Voyager yet. I'm about to finish TNG and about to finish season 2 of Deep Space Nine. The Voyager's coming. We'll get there.
Now, he's most known for, though, he is a major audio double for James Earl Jones. So he has been voicing Darth Vader in several Star Wars video games since 1994, it said. Most recently, the Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order games. But he's done multiple games. I'm not going to list them all. There's a bunch of them. Just go.
Yeah, if Darth Vader appears in a game,
right,
there is a better than 70% chance that it's being voiced by Scott Lawrence. The other guy that they have sometimes doing Darth Vader was Matt Sloan. So Matt Sloan is mainly moved over to doing Darth Vader for animation for the Legos stuff.
Oh, okay.
He got very prominent doing it because he made a web series called Chad Vader. And the Darth Vader voice that he does was so uncanny that he's an actual voice actor. They just started
I see.
hiring him to be Darth Vader.
So hopefully these people will be important moving forward.
And I also love how Aunt Z is immediately like, I don't give a fuck. I'm taking bets on this.
Well, I think that's just what makes her, it's funny because like seems to be this like chaotic neutral character where she's like doesn't care like what happens. Like she just likes the
A
chaos.
hundred
Like
percent.
she loves like oh, well, I can make some money off this. Like that's how great this is. Or like especially when Niku volunteers Kaz to do the race or whatever, she's like, all right, who's betting against the kid? Like
And the answer
and
is everybody's
everybody
betting against
runs to
this
her.
kid.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
We get this lovely little scene of Yeager and Poe on the like balcony
Hmm.
where they're talking. It's very short, but they have this sort of disagreement where Yeager really doesn't want to be involved. And clearly this is a conversation they have had multiple times.
Right.
Yeager's like, I don't want to be involved in this. I'm done. Poe's like, I'm thinking about the future. This is an ongoing fight. Fascism's going to keep rising and we have to keep slapping it down. And we'll get way more context on why Yeager is like this as the show progresses.
Okay.
Cut back to the bar fight already in progress. I love the dude who's sitting there drinking.
There's always
It's a
one.
there's always one. It's a
Yeah.
really common shot. It's still really funny. It's a common shot for a reason.
Hmm.
When Niku is having his, oh my God, you lied to me moment, there's a particular shot
Uh-huh.
where Niku says the line, you're not the best pilot among us. Poe Dameron is standing right behind him.
They make that joke twice because when they walk into the bar, Poe and Kaz, and they meet Aunt Z, or Kaz meets Aunt Z for the first time, she goes, well, if it isn't the best fighter or pilot in the galaxy or whatever, and Poe's like, oh, stop it. And then she's like, not you.
I mean, the thing is, Poe is legitimately the best pilot in the
Right.
galaxy at this point. At
I
least
know.
it's currently on active duty that we know about.
I just love that. Yeah. I get, is that supposed to just be like a running joke that like
That
he's the
that's
best and
kind of
he's
a
okay.
running joke in this episode that
Okay.
Poe Dameron is standing right there throughout this whole thing.
Right.
My next note is Kaz will talk his way into and out of stupid shit for the rest of the show.
It
This is
seems like,
kind of his
yeah.
thing.
Well, he seems like he's giving like adult Ezra. I think that's kind of what they were going for.
That is a bit what they were going for a little bit,
Yeah.
kind of from the reverse. So Ezra doesn't know a whole lot because he's like grown up on the street.
Right. He's more street smart than he is
He's
like
more
book
street
smart.
smart than he
Yeah.
is technically smart.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Kazuda's the opposite.
Mm,
He's much more technically smart. He's got raw charisma,
right. But he doesn't
but
have street
no training
smarts.
in how to
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
it or
Yeah.
any
Yeah. Yeah.
street smarts whatsoever.
I get that. Yeah. Interesting how they could flip it.
It is, and I like when Star Wars varies up its protagonists and we're not just doing the same thing over and
Hmm.
over and over again. Like I like when the protagonists come from interesting different perspectives.
I'm just glad that he's not a force sensitive little kid who
He is
like
not. And
I love that.
admittedly, all of the major Star Wars up until this point, the protagonist had been a force sensitive kid or young
Person.
adult.
Right.
So we had Luke Skywalker and then Anakin Skywalker and
Mhm.
then Ahsoka Tano and then Ezra Bridger, all of whom are between the ages of 14 and 21 over the course of their respective runs. Actually, Anakin's 9 when we meet him,
Right.
and they're all force sensitive and they're all Jedi. And Kazuda is not any of those things. I don't know how old he is supposed to be in this.
I just assumed he was like fresh out of college into the military. That's what I thought he like vaguely was his
That
age.
is a good question.
I'm
How
sure
old
it's
is
on there. What's his BBY date
Hold on. I'm
or
looking.
after
I'm
date?
researching. I'm
Oh
researching. This
damn!
is the
I just
thing Charles
realized
did.
he's born after the Battle of Yavin, isn't he?
He is indeed born after the Battle of Yavin. Kazuda Ziona was born in 14 ABY after the Battle of Yavin on Hosnian Prime.
Okay,
This episode takes place in 34 ABY. He is 20 years old.
that sounds right. I was gonna say 19, so yeah, okay, that makes sense. So he's 20.
Yeah,
He's 20.
he is between 19 and 20 years old in this in this original episode. This is
Makes a
six
lot of
months
sense.
before The Force Awakens.
Got it. Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
Niku walks after his conversation with Kaz, walks back into the bar, does his whole thing, and then turns to Kaz and goes, I have fixed your problem. He did not fix Kaz's problem.
He's like, you can not be lying to me now because I fixed the problem of now you can prove that you weren't lying to me by now proving that you are the greatest pilot in the galaxy. So then you
Or at
technically,
least
it's
on
like a
this
reverse
station.
lie. Like, it's like,
Yeah,
what? The thought process here is not making sense.
well, the other problem that we have to keep in mind for the stakes going into the next episode is that Niku works for Jaeger.
Right.
It's kind of really important that Kazuda ingratiate himself to Niku. You did already touch on one of my next notes, which is making a big crazy spectacle is actually a pretty good plan. And then Poe just fucks off to go back and be in the Poe Dameron comics again.
Yeah, and inadvertently, it does one of the things that makes me actually not like the show more, which is leave BB-8 here to be in the show.
Yes, he does leave BB-8 here originally to be in the show. That
I don't like
BB-8
that
was a. Why don't you like that?
because it's giving we couldn't come up with an original droid, so here is one that everybody knows and loves.
They will replace BB-8 with an original droid later on.
Okay.
There is also, I will also point this out. So the trivia guide that I found
Okay.
On StarWars.com, all of the trivia guides will be referred to as Bucket's List.
Okay.
There will be another droid. His name is Bucket. We will
Got
meet
it.
him next episode.
Understood.
Yes, we will meet a lot of the major characters next episode. But BB-8 is here now because the kiddies liked BB-8 and we want them to watch.
That's literally the only reason why he's here.
Yeah, I think
Which don't get me
looking
wrong,
back on
I
the
love
show,
BB-8, but I'm like,
well, Poe trusts BB-8 to know
true.
what he's doing.
It's just
And
weird.
so,
It's just weird. It's giving
yeah,
it's giving slightly lazy writing. I just slightly. Like we knew no, it's giving we wanted to sell toys is actually what it's giving because if BB-8's in all the merchandise, which by the way there is not a lot of Resistance merchandise.
no, they did not do a lot of merch for this.
There is not a lot.
It got
looked.
overshadowed. It was coming out around the same time as Solo: A Star Wars Story.
So do you have any more notes or final thoughts on this episode?
Yeah, I do actually want to talk about who directed this episode, who wrote
Okay.
this episode, and who developed the show.
Oh, what you know what? That's a perfect time to talk about that.
This is normally when we do it, Bradley.
You know,
This is indeed. So this show was created by Dave Filoni, and the impetus for the show was that he wanted to create a show that was inspired by Cheers. TV historians will be familiar with Cheers. It is one of the most influential TV shows of all time.
okay.
It is a show that you and I definitely learned about in our history of TV class where we met.
I guess I'm waiting for you to deliver the punchline of how this is even remotely related to Cheers.
I will get to that.
Okay.
So, the whole premise of Cheers is that it's set in a bar. And the idea was that it was very cheap and you could have this rotating revolving door of people that would come in.
Right.
It was more about the bar and the people you met in it than it was about anything happening outside of it. So it was the idea of, quote, where everyone knows your name.
Right.
And so Dave Filoni wanted, rather than having people, this big galaxy spanning show, he was like, what if we set it in one location where we could really get to know the location and really get to know the people within it?
Right.
It is a very common thing in long running series, but generally they will trace it back to Cheers, which indeed Dave Filoni did here. The show was developed by Dave Filoni, Kiri Hart, and Carrie Beck. So Dave Filoni had the original pitch for the show. Then there were two other people that came in to help develop it. One of them, Carrie Beck. We want to keep our eye on Carrie Beck. She's a major player at Lucasfilm.
Got it.
So she is heavily involved in the development of this show. Now, I could not find who was the main showrunner on the show.
Okay.
I looked, I couldn't find it. Someone might be able to tell me, but I couldn't find it. If I look at the credits on IMDb for the show, generally overall, if I go to the cast, all cast and crew, it does credit Dave Filoni with story by one episode.
Okay.
Yeah, it developed his story by credit is for The Recruit.
Okay.
So he came up with the story for this episode and said, here you go. Somebody else write this. Here's the story for the first episode. And then from then on, he was kind of taking a step back from being the showrunner for animation.
Right.
So, like, he only, according to him, gave notes to the story team.
Okay. They would write it, send it to him. He would put his
He
notes,
would
send
give
it back.
notes and
Right.
he would send back.
Got it.
Yeah, he very much had more of a role like George Lucas had on the Clone
Supervising.
Wars.
Yeah. Mhm.
There doesn't seem to have been one person who was like in charge of the story, but I couldn't really find anybody who was like the main person that came up with the story in the way that we had Jennifer Corbett and Brad Ralph for the
Right.
Bad Batch.
For Bad Batch, yeah.
Jennifer Corbett will be a writer
Okay.
on Resistance. But it does seem like they had a story team that generally came up with the story together,
Gotcha.
presumably some or all of the writers. So let's talk about who wrote and directed this episode. This episode is directed by, it has a supervising director in Justin Ridge, and then it has two directors per IMDb. Saul Ruiz, who we have talked about before,
Hmm.
and Stuart Lee, who I'm pretty sure we have also talked about before. So
Okay. Great. So
mainstay
two good directors. Hmm.
directors for Star Wars. Stuart Lee has directed episodes of Rebels, Clone Wars, Bad Batch, Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Underworld. Saul Ruiz, pretty much the same thing. Directed episodes of Rebels, Clone Wars, Tales of the Jedi, Bad Batch, Tales of the Underworld, and Tales of the Empire. So this episode is written by Brandon Allman. He's, as far as Star Wars goes, mostly just written for Resistance.
Okay.
He's done some episodes of season one, as he's done some episodes of season two. He is a writer on, most notably, The Legend of Vox Machina.
Okay.
He's done writing for 3 seasons of Vox Machina. Also wrote for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He's written 34 episodes of that. And he mainly just does animation writing. I wrote 30 episodes of Iron Man Armored Adventures and 52 episodes. Listeners of Dark Side Divas, which does not include Chris, who will not be listening to this episode when it airs because he's deliberately waiting for them to cover Resistance to watch it. But listeners of Dark Side Divas will recognize Brandon Allman for writing 52 episodes of Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go.
Throwback Thursday. That's an old one.
2004 to 2006.
Yeah.
So that's The Recruit Part 1. Same writer and director for Part 2, by the way. So
Great.
we
So
won't
we can
do that
skip
again.
it next week. Got it.
We will skip it next week.
Okay.
So I liked revisiting it. I think it's a strong-ish start to the show. But I'm more interested in Bradley's thoughts.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on episode 1 of the show.
Yeah, my final thoughts on part one are it's fine. I don't think it's like egregiously bad. I think it's fine. There's nothing like that stands out to me. I think it is a lot of just setting up part two, really, because like I feel like the plot is more part two. The part one, it seems more of like Poe just had to set him on this journey, and then like part two is more like, all right, let's show you what actual life of the Colossus is like and like what the racing bits are like and the, side characters and maybe a villain or two will show up or something. And I'm sure there'll be some kind of more plot in the end of that to kind of fully set up the season because it is part one. I mean, so I don't necessarily think these are, I don't know why they split it up. Just
On
because
Disney Plus, they split it up.
Yeah.
It aired all as one episode. Now, if you just look at the length of this episode of
It's
this
22.
show, you'll see
Yeah.
why we split it into two.
Right.
But it did air all as one episode
Okay.
originally.
I mean, it's fine. It definitely needs the rest. I feel like it probably couldn't hurt to have the rest of the plot. I thought this was like, I mean, the fact that I was able to split it up into 3 sections alone tells you that it's like, all right, well, there's not really much going on. But I think it does a decent job introducing Kaz, though. I think that's more so what its goal was. It was to introduce just our main character. Part one, at least, is a good introduction of our main character. Part two, I'm hoping, is more of like here's the rest of the characters and here's more of the plot. I feel like that's what I need.
Yes, a lot. I can tell you a lot of basically all the rest of the main cast is going to be introduced.
Okay.
In episode 2. I'm struggling to think of someone who I would consider a main cast member who is not introduced in at least part 1 or part 2 of The Recruit. That's pretty much who we're going to be working with
the rest of the show
for the rest of the show.
Okay.
All right. Well, next week we're gonna continue on this because we don't know shit about Mole Shadow Lord yet. So
Just keep
next week we're
going.
doing The Recruit Part 2, Season 1, Episode 2, or 1.5.
I think it's credited as episode 2.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
it's Episode 2 now because
It
we
is
decided
now.
it
I don't know
was.
what it was when it came out, but when
It was
it
because we
is.
decided it was.
Right. Right.
So definitely tune in for that. Pluggables. Bradley does a bunch of reality TV shows. Those include such shows as Married to Medicine, which is currently airing. Other shows he's worked on include Temptation Island, The Circle, Queen's Court, King's Court. You can find me on the Star Wars TTRPG podcast For Light and Dice. That just wrapped up its second season, so now is a great time to go and binge listen to the show. I also write queer mystery, crime, thriller novels, which, hey, also stick to pretty much one location and centralize everything around it. Those are called Beach House Studios. The first 4 books of the series are available on Amazon Kobo and Barnes and Noble. You can also request them through your local library. See, Bradley, that wasn't so bad.
I mean, we'll see if I can handle another 22.
We'll see if you can handle another 40-something episodes of this show.
Exactly.
You can do it. I believe in you. And the other thing you can do is run our socials. Thank you for listening to Gold Squadron Gaze. Did Charles fuck something up? Email us at goldsquadrongaze@gmail.com and let us know. You can follow us on BlueSky, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Gold Squadron Gaze. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Gold Squadron Gaze, where we post full episodes of this podcast. If you like the podcast, you can also rate us and review us on your favorite podcast app of choice. Please join us next week and every week for another episode of Gold Squadron Gaze.
Yeah, I had like maybe 2 drinks and I was like out of it the next day.
Millennials are always like, I can't drink like I used to. I can't drink like I used to. Every so often, something activates in your brain and you decide to try to drink like you used to.
Right.
And it never goes well.